And I remember one mistake I did with the collection that I produced with like a manufacturer where I actually didn't have a proper tech pack sent to them. And when I got the first set of samples back, there were just a lot of issues. It's another Q&A. I love Q&As because it kind of feels like I'm chatting with a bestie. I just feel like I'm just chatting with someone that I've known for like 10, 15 years and we're just having a good old chat. It's like you ask me questions, I answer. No heavy editing, so let's just get straight into this. But if this is your first time seeing me, hi, my name is Priscilla. I'm a fashion designer and I run Kim Dave. I teach people how to sew and share, what it really is like being an independent designer in 2026. So I have some of your questions here from Instagram and YouTube, and I'm just going to answer them. They cover fashion design, a little bit of lifestyle, but they're mostly fashion design and fashion business questions. So let's get straight into this. The very first question is from Toby So, and the question is, how do you maintain body weight? You always look beautiful and fit. Oh, thank you. That's actually a serious compliment. I do a mixture of different things, but it's taking me years to get here. And some weeks I'm consistent, I'm eating right, I'm exercising. And other weeks I just want to sleep and eat Indomie noodles. So I won't come on here and tell you that, oh, every single week I'm like lean and fit and I eat like vegetables. No, no, no. I think what I aim to do is I try to move my body once a day, whether that's going for a walk, going to the gym, going for a run, doing like YouTube exercise videos or exercise workouts. I try to move my body once every day or at least 4 times a week. A mixture of doing that and eating food that is higher in fiber and protein. So I will still eat my rice, I will still eat my pasta, I will still eat my bread, but I just eat less of like carbs and refined sugar and more protein and vegetables. So I think I do a mixture of those two things, like eating better and then moving my body more. But I say the real game changer in the last 3 months is I've started running, like proper running, because I want to do like a half marathon. I just woke up one morning and I said I want to do a half marathon. Please don't ask me why. And I've been training for that. So I try to run at least twice every week and I try to do between 10 to 12K runs. So that's running for like an hour and a half. And I think that really like takes a toll on the body. So I think that's the reason why I have lost a lot of weight in recent months and people have noticed it. I would credit it to running, I'll credit it to eating better, I'll credit it to also trying to sleep better, drink more water. It's a mixture of things and it's a lifestyle change. It's not something that happened overnight and it's something that I want to keep doing in the future because I want to show up for myself, show up for my family. I want to live a long, full, healthy life. So yes, losing the weight and looking trim is one benefit, but I also think there are many benefits of like looking after your body, especially if you're creative. If your body and your mind is not in the right place, how do you want to create anything in the first place? So, speaking of creative work, let's get straight into the more fashion design technical questions. I'm looking here because my laptop is here and I'm reading the questions from this side of the room. The first technical question I have here is from Joseph Akowe M1N, and it says, how can someone know the measurements to use for bust tightening for different types of busts, both for corset and for bustier? So let's differentiate what a corset is from a bustier, because I used to actually mix up the two. The corset fit is like reduction, so the corset is meant to like snatch you in once it's made and once it's worn, whereas the bustier is kind of like tailored and sculpted to the body of the client or of the person. So I think once you know the difference between those two, it helps you to understand how to take the measurements and how to make the patterns or how to drape the piece. There are certain measurements that are very important, especially if you want to get like the fit around the bust right. So the upper bust, the bust line, and then the under bust, those measurements, getting them accurately is very important. And then when you make corset patterns, you always make the pattern smaller than the final measurement, because when you lace it up at the back, that is where the snatching of a corset happens. You don't want to have a corset where the seam on the center back, they align. And I've done a corset like that and it didn't just fit right. It was like folding in weird places. You want to have a corset snatch and fit around the bust and around the waist, around wherever it's meant to fit. This next question I actually got from Instagram, and I'll put up the name of the person who asked the question. I don't remember at this moment, but it was, how can I start a ready to wear fashion business? This question is so loaded, and I feel like I've done multiple videos in the past, which I'm going to maybe link one here so you can click and watch that. But starting a ready to wear brand in 2026, ooh, there are a few questions you have to answer first. And I'll always say this because people expect me to just give like a direct answer, but starting a business is not like a direct thing. Even if you have the most amazing product, it's a business at the end of the day. You have to think about what product are you selling and who are you selling it to, because that's going to affect a lot of things about how you run the business. Also, how are you going to get money to run this business? Are you going to partner up with someone who invests in the brand? Are you going to get a loan? Are you going to self-fund this? And there are different aspects of having a ready-to-wear business that I feel like I should just do a dedicated video about this, because at this point, whenever I do a Q&A, I always get one question that says, how can I start a ready-to-wear brand? So if you guys would like me to do a dedicated video where I talk about finding a manufacturer, things like funding, marketing, insurance, there are many arms of having a business, and I am still learning myself. I feel like I should definitely do a video where I sit down and talk through all these things. The video is going to be super long, but at this point, I think it is very overdue. So let me know down below if you'd like me to do a video like this and what topics I should cover in that video, because there are a lot of topics involved. There are a lot of things involved in having a ready-to-wear brand. There's also the aspect of like manufacturing your pieces. Where are you going to be making them? Are you making them in-house? Or are you outsourcing manufacturing? And I remember one mistake I did with the collection that I produced with like a manufacturer where I actually didn't have a proper tech pack sent to them. And when I got the first set of samples back, there were just a lot of issues that I think if I had done a proper tech pack, really indicated how I wanted specific parts of the garment to be finished, that would have just saved me time, saved me money, saved me and the manufacturer the back and forth that we had. So I think that was one of the reasons that I designed this tech pack PDF that I just released. I'm going to link it down below. It's a editable Canva PDF, and if you're watching this video, there is a code down below for you to get some money off of this as well. So the way it works is you have access to this Canva template. You go edit it for each design that you want to make, and there is a how to use guide at the beginning. So if you wanted to use this tech pack for your collection, for your design, it really helps the manufacturer understand how the piece is made. It helps you communicate how you want the outcome to be to the person who is making it for you. And there are some manufacturers that will never look at your design if you don't have a tech pack ready. So that I'm going to link down below. I've gotten a few requests for like tech pack templates, and I thought to share this with you guys. If you're someone who wanted to start a brand and you didn't know how creating a tech pack worked or what it's supposed to look like, go check it out down below and let me know if you have any further questions in regards to how to use a tech pack, how to edit it, what to put, what not to put, and how to like download it and send it to your manufacturer. So we have a few questions from the House of Joy. Hi, Cindy. And the first one here is, what direction would you like your brand to take? If I'm being honest, I really want Kim Dave to become a very story immersive brand. And what I mean by that is I want to release designs and projects and collection that really takes the wearer, the viewer, the audience on a story, either with the print, with the meaning of the silhouettes, the meaning of the name of the garment. I think I definitely want to lean more into creating collections that have deeper meanings behind them, because as I get older, I'm coming to realize that this life is short, yes, but two, is what you do with the opportunities that you are presented with. Like, what are you doing with, like, what am I doing with the time and the talent and the opportunities I have to impact someone, to make someone realize that they are beautiful, they are blessed, to make someone realize that the life that you're giving is a blessing, to make someone realize that we're all connected as people, like in Christ, in love, in family, in pain. Like, I think I definitely would love to take Kim Dave down that route. I sort of have stepped back from the ready to wear brand of things since last year. Not like I've stopped producing like collections. I've just, making a collection is a lot of work. It's also financially demanding. So I think I just want to be ready financially. And I'm not saying this as an excuse, but I definitely want to lean more into pieces and collections that have deeper stories attached to them before releasing anything out. I want that depth in my projects. So that's kind of like where I would love to take like my ready to wear brand. For content creation, I think I want to improve the fit of the clothes that I make. So get technically really good. Like make a really good corset, make a really good pair of pants, a really good shirt. Like I understand how making most clothes work, but I want to get technically even better. So that's kind of like my goal with like content creation, sewing, and the Kim Dave like sewing community. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Cindy. That question really made me think. I was like, I've just been like go 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 go, and I've not had a moment to actually step back and be like, where do I actually want to take Kim Dave in the next couple of years? So thank you for asking that because it really made me think. The next question is, would I join forces with another designer to do collabs? Why and why not? Yes, I love collaborating with other people because we're all so different, and everybody, even though we might be doing the same thing, we might both be doing sewing content. Everybody kind of does things with their own flavor, with their own flair. So I love collaborating with other content creators, other designers, other artisans. I would actually love to work with someone who designs fabrics, maybe like a dire or a shoke, and create a collection with those like custom design fabrics. That would be something that would be so cool because I would really be able to create a fabric that is unique that you won't be able to find anywhere else, and then use it to make, my round bombers, a long skirt, a maxi dress. Please, if you're someone who does Adira and Ankara, please shoot your shots, come my way, let's work together because I'd actually would absolutely love that. Even if it's just like a line of like button up shirts made with like a custom design fabric, I would really love to try that out. Even if it's not this year, next year, I think that would be such a fun project. My final question is from the House of Joy, and she has asked, what would you like to do more of and less of? Hmm. I think since becoming a mom, what I've noticed that I have been doing intentionally or unintentionally is when I want to do something, I try to do it really well, whether that is a video, whether that is a garment, whether that is a reel, a picture. I'm trying to do things really well, but not a lot of things at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm trying to be more intentional with what I work on so I have a more excellent result, a more excellent outcome. I've been doing a lot more of that lately. I think I've been focusing on creating projects that have longevity. I don't know why, but that's just what I've been finding that I've been doing a lot more of recently. Less of, I think I am trying not to get sucked into too many trends, especially when they don't speak to me, especially when it just feels like, oh, it's just something that is a trend for the sake of being a trend. Don't get me wrong, if there's a cute meme or a cute trend that I find hilarious, I would jump on it and do it. But if I feel like it doesn't speak to me, even though if it's super popular, I'll let it be. Like I think I've reached an age where I'm just like, if I don't feel like doing something, I won't do it. If I want to say yes, I'll say yes. If I want to say no, I'll say no. Before I used to feel really guilty when someone would ask me to do something and I would say no. Like I used to be like a people pleaser. Whew. Thank God for delivering me from that. I used to be a real chronic people pleaser, but I don't know what it was about having my daughter. I think it made me realize that I had to show up as my authentic self if I was going to raise someone to be her authentic self. I had to confront a lot of my beliefs, a lot of my traumas. I had to face a lot of things that I didn't even realize were issues. I was forced to confront those. So I'm in a place mentally and emotionally now where, well, if I don't want to do something, I'll tell you I don't want to do it. You cannot flog me. If I want to do something, even if everybody else thinks, oh wow, like this thing, just a waste of money, just a waste of time. But if deep down I believe that this is something that I want to do, maybe for some divinely ordained reason, I will do it, or for a reason that I know in a couple of years will make more sense, I will do it. I've just reached a point mentally and emotionally where I'm just like that, and I think it's reflecting in my work as well. So I'm way more intentional, I'm way more present, I'm way more assertive too. This was a fun one to film. It got really personal very quickly, especially towards the end, but I think that's why I love Q&As, because yes, you get to answer some technical bits. Yes, you get to, give tips, tricks here and there, but it also helps me think. it's like a melting point for me and for you. I think that's why I really like Q&As. It helps us kind of like realign on our shared goals as a community, as a sewing K-Divas community. And that's why I love doing them at least once every year. And the last one I did was 6 months ago. So I was like, hey, let's do the first one of 2026, and here we are. If there are any other questions I didn't answer, please leave them down below and I would respond to them as a comment, or maybe as a separate video if I feel like it's something that deserves a video of its own. Then we could potentially make that happen. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks to everyone who asked all of the questions. I love you, I appreciate you, and until my next video, have a good morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are. Bye.